There's just all that sort of stuff. I really like these cards. Advisors are great. What I really liked about them, besides the fact that, this one's kind of a throwaway one. I love this because of the variety and because of how it works. Imagine how much good things I could say about how much I love the artifact system if you gave me more than 5. It'll be more than the negative I'm saying about it right now. Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be reviewing The Great Wall by Awaken Realms. Is it any good? Should it be backing on Kickstarter right now? Let's find out. Now, before we get started into that, I wanted to point you towards my cool shirts. If you want shirts just like this, link in the description below. And also to these kind of pop-alike cosplaying ducks called tubs. If you want some of those, getting towards Christmas, shirts, toys. My daughters loved these already. They stole them already. I had to go take them back. Anyway, all that, link in the description below. Let's get to it. Alright guys, let's get into this. So this is kind of the main game board, and I'm going to explain this kind of as I go in my typical style. So you'll know what it is I'm talking about anytime I'm talking about a game mechanic, and then by the end of it you'll have quite a bit of game mechanic knowledge. In fact, speaking of the game mechanics, my first thing right here is this. So this is the rule book in its current form, and what I want to actually point out to you is this right here. 11 pages. That's awesome. I really, really like that. I am a huge proponent when it comes to streamlined mechanics and streamlined gameplay. I don't want every idea, every nifty, cool idea you have crammed into a board game. I don't want mechanics that loosely kind of flow together or are sometimes kind of clunky. I want the cream of the crop, the very, very best. If it's not the very best, get it out of the game. That's the kind of style I like. It's why I like Blood Rage so much, and it's why I appreciate an 11-page rulebook. First of all, I gotta read all these rule books. I play a lot of games. I get a lot of games throughout the year, and I read a ton of rule books. And so when they're pumping, like 50 plus pages, I start to get really worn out about it. Now, of course, it depends on, how much, images and examples and stuff you have. But that being said, 11-page rule book. Awesome. It's not finalized. None of this is finalized, actually. So word of warning here, all the components. I mean, you're not going to get like taped highlighter, wooden pieces here. So you don't have to worry about that. But, and the rule book, again, same thing. Really appreciated that it's 11 pages. That's awesome. One thing to note, by the way, is in its current form right now, it only supports 4 players. It's not balanced for anything else. And that's something I can't put it as a negative at this stage, but I'm not sure how exactly they're going to support lower player counts. I suspect that they're going to have either alternate rules or something like that. And that's for 2 things. First of all, defending the wall. If you only have 2 armies to field in a 2-player game or something like that, even a 3-player game, you are not going to be doing very successful here. They're going to have to allow you to get more tactic cards or do more damage or something. There's going to have an alternate rule set, because as it stands right, or maybe different cards. Maybe you play with totally different horde cards. You're not going to be able to defend all 3 sections by the second round, especially the third round, with just 2 players. Additionally, these right here are the kind of locations where you have to fill it all up. And stuff like the gold here, right? We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need 6 clerks in there. You start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it could take almost all. You couldn't do it on your own, even if you wanted to, without getting extra and purchasing them. So the amount of clerks you need to do things might need to change, or I don't know. It's going to take some work. It's not a simple thing on scaling one thing or not. This is built into the game board, needing this many. And these pieces are finite. So it is what it is. Speaking of the pieces, I did want to comment on the miniatures. I think, and I'll show them here, and I showed them during my unboxing as well. are quite good. I like the design of them. I think they're really nice. I like the exaggerated details. I spoke a lot about this. I'm not going to speak a ton here on this point, just that I like them. My one caveat here is these clerks are too small. They're just, I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. They're you know, his head goes to his chest. So, you know, he's like 2 feet shorter. It seems kind of silly. I mean, even if he's 6 foot, that means he's 4 feet tall. So, clerks are a bit small, but otherwise, the detail wise, I actually really like the sculpt design and the implementation from what I see right now. Not final quality, but the exaggerated details here tell me that the final quality should actually be pretty good. All right. Now, one thing that I appreciated just setting up for this review is actually how quick it sets up. So this is a very quick setup and a very quick teardown. There's not a ton of components everywhere, which I know in a lot of these kind of games, sometimes you can get a little finicky with tokens and stuff like that. There's not a lot here. You have kind of your cards, you have kind of the cards that you own, you have like the wall pieces, you have kind of the tokens here and here, but otherwise there's not a whole lot to it. It's not some big sprawling game. We could play this entire game on half of our 7-foot table here. So, it doesn't take up a ton of room or anything like that. Though it's still plenty spacious and has a lot of kind of good art everywhere. They're not like cramming it super tight, but I really did appreciate how quick, especially because I'm the one that always does it, setup and teardown time, very good. Now, another thing I appreciated was actually that it's a worker placement game, which isn't my typical style of game. More on that later. But it's a worker placement game focused on battle. So half of this board here, I'm going to knock stuff over. Half of the board here is all about fighting. Now, again, it's not the kind of fighting that I normally play, but it is kind of, the theme is nice. I think a good theme really helps enjoy the enjoyment level of a game. And so for me, placing people so I can recruit soldiers to then fight off a horde of people, I can get behind that. That's a really cool theme, and I like that. Now, speaking of the fighting, it's actually a pretty robust system. I was actually surprised that about half the rules are talking about this, and then half the rules are talking about this. It is kind of a 50-50, and it kind of makes sense. So you're going to have these horde cards, and they're going to be laid out. And so on the first round, you're going to have 1 row. Second round, you're going to have 2. Third round, you're going to have 3. And I'm going to actually pick up, you know, one of these to show, but it's just actually kind of complex. So you're going to have your people, you know, down over here on the wall. The archers go on top, and then everybody else sits behind it. And then the archers can shoot, and they can like shoot their little arrows and attack the people here. And then what you'll see here is these are the vital slots with the border, and you have to cover these up to actually destroy the card. Otherwise, it's going to actually still attack. And then you slide them all down, and the next card comes up and stuff like that. And so you're going to be placing either your wounds on there, or your people actually sit right on there to kind of cover it up, kind of a Tetris style, right? If you have a cavalry unit like this that covers up 2 spots, that's great. But if somebody covered up here and here, this little spot, you can only cover up 1, right? That's the only way you can go. So there's some slight thinking about layout here. It's not huge on the layout part, but I do appreciate that. Additionally, all these symbols are stuff you get, so you can get honor, which are essentially victory points, gold or wood, depending on what you cover up. So if you really need gold, you're going to be tempted to attack here, even if that's not a vital spot, so that you can get more gold. So there's that system too. They have the tactic cards, which are interesting. So the tactic cards are where are they? Oh. All right, so the tactic cards are right here, and they actually don't have a whole lot here, but what they do have is very kind of interesting. You can get flanking, where you can use people from the other section, or you can have charge, where you go through an entire row. That's a very powerful one. These are very strong, especially if you can do not the regular one, but the enhanced tactic, where you're paying a resource, meditation, to be able to kind of do really advanced stuff. And so these are really good. Berserk, you have to kill one of your units, but then they destroy 3 spots instead of just 1. So those are very nice, and I appreciate that mechanic. So I'll talk more about them in a second, because it keeps going on. I mean, so you have like these pikemen here, right? So they're all kind of different. The pikemen, if you place any horse on there, they actually counter the horses. Oh no, that's not good. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have the shield bearers. So the shield bearers, you cannot place any of those wound tokens I had on here. The archers cannot shoot the shield bearers, right? They got shields. We got the pikemen. The battering ram will lower your wall's defense. They're really easy to get rid of, but they're going to hurt if you don't. And so getting them on like a back row where really only archers can get, can be bad. If a shield bearer is in the back, we played a game with that, the archers can't get to them. And so you kind of have to go through it because your pikemen here and your pikemen can only go to, or the spearmen, sorry, can only go to the front card. So you can't even use those in the back card unless you do something like a charge or something like that. So there's a lot of game systems there. It's actually fairly robust. And I haven't even talked about, how they breach the wall versus the defense value, versus the fortifications that you have, if you have those. And then what happens afterwards, we have to either lose resources or honor, and whether if you did the most, then you actually get the honor, and you get different honor depending on if you helped or whether you did the most to it. There's a lot of game systems there. It's like half the game. So it's like this is half the game, and then this is half the game, and they work together quite well and interact in various ways, like losing resources if they breach, or being able to field people from there, or whatever. There's a lot of stuff there. Or being able to, build the fortifications and walls to begin with. So I really like that. I wanted to get back to this because this is one I don't like. What you'll notice here, and I'll go in and flip through them so you can see, these are all the tactic cards in the game. So you got call for aid, regroup, berserk, call for aid, flanking, charge, berserk, flanking, berserk, charge, call for aid, regroup, berserk, flanking. If you notice, there was only 4 or 5 actual different kinds of cards here. There's a lot of repeats. I would like to see more than that. What they do works well, and I like that. I just wish that there was more oomph to it, that there was just some other kind of interesting things. And you could do more here. You could have your archers attack a second time or a third time, or, it'd be like an archer volley or something like that. Or maybe archers from another spot can actually attack from there, right? There's a lot of things I think you could do. And that's just me thinking on the top of my head. I'm not the game designer. I would like to see more tactic cards. Core game, I don't think there's enough to really make it exciting, especially over multiple playthroughs. Even just one playthrough, you're going to be playing the same tactic cards over and over again because they're all kind of the same. In fact, multiple people will play the same. So I'll play flanking, and then my buddy over here will play flanking, and then my wife will play. There needs to be more. I think that's kind of a weird omission because there's another thing I'm going to talk about that has a ton of variety, and it's kind of an oddity between the two. In fact, some more ideas. The charge does the column. It'd be cool if there was a rare card in there that lets you do an entire row across multiple wall sections. And a splash oil spill would be cool. Being able to throw your spears so the spearmen could actually now suddenly be ranged. So you can have a lot more ranged people here to deal with, something maybe farther back that you don't want. There's just, again, a ton of ideas that you can do here. So this seems very underutilized, though quite powerful. Now, there's one thing in that whole battle thing that I only barely mentioned. I put this little thing here to kind of briefly say it, but this whole concept of starting with the wall and building it up is visually very cool, right? I like it. It adds both offense and defense. Your defense goes up and you get more slots for your archers. The offense goes up as well, and you can keep building it up, which is, again, very cool. You can get pretty high up here. Which is fun. I mean, who doesn't want to, just build this? It's visually very appealing, but kind of shallow. Not in that it's not strategic. You obviously are playing the numbers, right? You're thinking, how much defense do we need on this one with the fortifications, and then our offensive ability on that? If you have less offense, you probably want more defense, right? All that's kind of interesting, but it's not very interactive. You're not actually doing a lot of... It's not something you're really doing a lot of. Like you put your resources here, you donate your resources, and then you're like, oh, I can build a wall, and you build a wall. Why wouldn't you build a wall? Well, I mean, there's like a very, very small edge case reasons why you wouldn't want to build a wall. And so you're just going to be building the wall. It's okay, build the next one, done. Don't have enough resources now, so we're done building the walls. That's it. It's actually kind of the most shallow part of this whole combat system is actually, I think, the wall mechanics, because I struggle to even call them mechanics. It's more stats. And again, they're very finite too. You have 3 levels plus fortifications. That's really it. So, with all of the card play and the various different effects here and special stuff there that I mentioned, like oil spills, you can actually, like, if you could add offensive abilities to this, that'd be great. If you could add maybe, stuff where your archers are protected. So on a breach, they're not, there's a lot of game mechanics you could build around here that aren't here. I know I talked about streamlining, but this is a main feature of the game. This is what everybody's talking about. And so to have this actually be such a minor part of the game is, I think, a missed opportunity. Additionally, it does pose a problem. So right now I have you at a camera angle where you're kind of above, you're at about my head height. My head is like right here and to the side. So you can see all of this and you can see most of this. Like you can't, maybe you notice you cannot see that I have a fortification here or here or here. Now imagine if you're sitting over there. If you're sitting over there, you're not going to see this whole first card. You're not, it's cool that it builds up, but it does block line of sight. So unless you're kind of at the side, and even then you're kind of moving around trying to, move your head and see which way, I need to make sure we get that card there. And then a person over here is just going to have people tell them what's going on over here. It's just, it's a long board. It's too far away from them. And then they have this wall here. So by the third time when you are built up, you're essentially blocking half the board, visually from some of the people sitting around. If you have it just depends on your seating situation. If you can fit 2 people here and 2 people there, you're fairly good. Again, you're still you're where another person would probably sit, and you can't see this. You can't, in fact, you can't even see the lines here, can you? So it is something I noticed that, it's not exactly practical. All right. So one thing that I want to point out, and I'm sure you've all noticed that, is that it's called a semi-cooperative game, or a mostly cooperative game is actually, I think, how I'd word it. You're all working towards defending here. This is definitely how you get a lot of honor points. This is definitely something that punishes you if you do not defend it. None of you are trying to actively, just have the people breach the wall and tear up everybody, and none of that's there. You all have that common goal, but there is a winner track, so only one person is going to be the clear winner. Everybody else did not win, though you still feel satisfaction, I think, from defending and stuff like that. But again, winner is winner. There's sort of a Loki strategy here, and I think that's fun. So let's see if I have her here. Maybe I don't. Yes. Okay. So this is your general. Again, I pointed this out in the rules. You get your production and your special and all that kind of stuff, right? But this person, for instance, has, when your soldier dies, you gain 2 honor. So like the Loki strategy, where you want to lose, you don't mind your people dying. You're actively not trying to get them to die. 2 per, that's great. I mean, you have tons of these guys. That's a lot of points. So, that's really, really cool. That's very nice to have. And you can couple that with some of these, I don't know if I actually have any here, but with some of these advisors. And these advisors are the opposite of the tactics cards. They're all unique and they're all great. And several of them, again, deal with losing people and gaining honor for it, or resources, or so sometimes it's like, hey, you'll gain resources each time somebody dies. Well, that's awesome, right? So you can have advisors to do that. Additionally, you can kind of play into that. So you have these commands. Again, I talked about this during kind of the details video, and really with this, a lot of times it'll say something like, which one? So there's betrayal, right? That's kind of the edge case. You can take the resources for yourself. There's normally not a big reason to do that. If you have stonemason where you need stone to build it so you can get more honor, that might be useful. But for the most part, because you always are building a wall, there's no reason not to. You would essentially have to be the last person, because otherwise the next person is, because in a 4-player game, there's only 3 people building a wall. So you need to be the last person and then say, I don't want to build a wall. And so that you leave enough resources there. Otherwise, the resources are going to be spent anyway, or people donated way too much. But even then, you can just build walls. So there's not going to be a whole lot there too. This is very borderline, very edge case. It's not going to be seen each game. At least not, by anybody who's actually trying to do something well here. Okay. So right here, despotism, right? Perform advanced activation on one chosen location. It's really fun to have people try and get gold. So let's say somebody put 4 people here, right? So they're trying to get 2 gold or more with their overseer. So they're just waiting on somebody to do that. And then you play that and activate it with just them there. They have to lose 4 points. That's hilarious. That's really funny to do. It's something that not everybody even sees the option to do that, but activating something that's normally you want to activate something you want to get. But doing it to cause somebody to lose 4 honor is, seeing their faces, pretty funny stuff. But I like this card because you can use it for good too. For good or for bad, whatever. What I just talked about though isn't actually a Loki strategy. So while yes, it has a way to, gain honor or get in the lead more without actually doing what most people would do to gain it, right? Which is what I consider a Loki strategy, kind of a counter game. The Loki strategy coming from Blood Rage, the person who you were fighting still won. Yes, you wanted to lose the battle. Okay. Yes, you wanted lots of death and you get points for that, but they get points for winning too. So you're not robbing them of anything. The Loki strategy here, the semi-cooperative part, is more of an anti-king making mechanic. I don't know of the word for that. So a king making is where you can essentially choose the leader. You can buff somebody up or provide somebody points to make them win. This is essentially just stopping people from being as successful, for several different reasons, whether you're betraying, whether you're causing them the loss in honor or whatever. It just, that's kind of what I don't like about it. It's a nasty version of the semi-cooperative, right? It's a dirty version of the Loki strategy. Instead of both people winning, just you are winning when you do that. But again, it's pretty counter because you're always wanting to do that. So while yes, you can betray, you're going to be hard pressed to actually make that be beneficial in the long run, as opposed to maybe just actually focusing more on doing the traditional stuff. Yes, you can activate that, but that means they lost 4 points, granted, but that means you lost the ability to do whatever you wanted, like maybe get more points to do that, even if you do have people that die. So it's a toss up. It really depends on the group, I imagine, but just thought I'd put that out there. Okay, so I did want to get back to these advisors because they are awesome. So again, you have the generals and they have totally different things. So this guy, in engage phase, you can send 2 spearmen at once instead of just one. So normally you alternate. So you can get, the honor points if that's really what you're wanting. So you can't see that over the wall. You can get that, or maybe you really want the golds. You grab the 2 gold. Now everybody just has to get this other stuff unless they want to waste, around doing something else. So that's really good. So that's an attack, general, right? So really helpful there. Or, this guy here who, whenever you shoot with archers, you gain an honor. Considering you have, I believe, 5 archers. 5 archers means 5 honor every time if they're in all the battle. Again, fantastic. But you can do so much more than that. So you can make it to where your archers always shoot twice. Well, now you've just doubled that because they're shooting twice now. So an archer commander on him, great combo. And you can keep comboing that to ramp up. Maybe you want to actually, after resolving your command card, you may recruit another archer or build a fortification for normal cost. So you get the Fletcher and you start recruiting extra archers like that. Or maybe whenever you shoot with an archer, you gain 1 meditation. So with the mystical archer on top of that, with this combo of the general plus these 3, you now have this archer machine going on here. And then, considering you're already all in the battle, maybe you want to be able to recruit another spearman for free as well. You combine that with the overseer where you're getting extra spearmen and you are like a battle machine here. That is awesome. Very cool combo. But maybe you want a different combo. There are so many you can do here. That it's just really good. You can have up to 6 of these and each one's unique. These advisors are the best part of the game, in my opinion. I really like these. They're all unique. I love building combos. I love kind of card combos where you can kind of tailor your experience. Definitely the highlight for me. And it doesn't have to be battle. You know, you can do this one where you are a stonemason. You can build with your own stone and actually gain 8 honor. What's great about this is it costs 6 stone. Normally, the cost of a 10 is 15 of something. So building it for only 6 is a great deal later on. Plus, you're getting 8 honor each time for it instead of, you know, whoever for nothing. But you can have more. You can have a tyrant where after resolving your command card, you get the production from one of your overseers. So you can, especially with the gold is super helpful, right? If you have a +3 gold, the gold is hard to get. But if you have this, you're going to be getting gold every time you do a command card, which is twice per round. So lots of gold for you. This command card allows you to move one more clerk. You're just more, with the clerk manager, you're just more versatile. You can do more with that. There's just all that sort of stuff. I really like these cards. Advisors are great. Now, another thing that I really liked is the command cards. What I really liked about them, besides the fact that, you know, I mean, this one's kind of a throwaway one, but besides that, all of these, everybody has, so it's pretty even playing field. But I love that other people get to do things too. The ability to move all of your clerks to a location, awesome. For everybody else, they still get to move one. You're not just sitting there, you're constantly interacting, you're constantly being able to do stuff. The deposition allows them to move two to a chosen location. Again, great. And you can activate it. And you can work together too and be like, okay, so I'm going to move 4 and then you're going to move 2. And if you do that, then I'll activate that even so we can do this and this because we're going to fill this up, but we won't quite have enough there if you go there and I go there, but I'll activate it so we get both in this round or something like that. There's a lot of table talk that can happen around these and really just a lot of table talk everywhere. There's a lot more cooperative talk than the non-cooperative talk there. But anyway, these are really good. I really enjoyed these command cards. Now, there is a problem, and that is the fact that you're doing 2 of these each time. There's 4 of you, so you're all doing 8 actions. When you have 2 guys here, and you're trying to decide, do I want to go here and change this order, or go here and change this order, or maybe I need to build a fortification, I need to look at the people here, and then, or you know what, maybe we have all these cards here, we need to swap people, we need to move over here, but we just need more people too, so if I do that, I could also upgrade my overseer here, but then Bob over here really needs the wood, so I could help him with the wood, but you know what, this is going to go to crap. I really need to get the tactic cards. There is so much to think about here when it comes to all that. Plus, well, okay, what's coming up? What else can I do? Oh, well, you know, you did a work harder card too, so I'm going to be able to move the other guys out. And actually, I can move 2, but I'm going to be left with 1, so I need to activate an area so I get one of my clerks back. All that kind of thinking is everybody's turn, and you do it 8 times. So this game can take a while. And I'm talking 3 hours or more, especially when you're starting out. It depends on the kind of players and how much you're into that kind of thinking, but it can do a ton of stuff. It's almost impossible to think from 1 to 4 what you're going to do every single round. So it just gets to you and they're like, okay, now I need to do this. And of course, on some of these, I don't even know where I put my cards here. There's 3 different ones. So first, you know, Bob, who played this, has to move to 4 locations. He has to figure out, he probably has a pretty good idea what he needs to do. But it could be that he was round number 3 or 4 of the cards, in which case he probably couldn't think far enough ahead to know that, oh, well, because we didn't discuss that, we're going to activate this and then this, and so those would be free. So he's making it on the spot. Okay, I need to move 4. Then you need to decide where your 2 are. And then after everybody decides where their 2 are, then he has to actually activate the other location. And so it takes a while. You're interacting the entire time. There's not a lot of downtime. I do appreciate that. I hate player downtime, but this is not a quick game. Even once you get into the swing of things, it's just not quick. When I first read this and heard the 3 rounds, I instantly thought, again, Rising Sun, Blood Rage, especially with like the seasons moving and the kind of 3 rounds and then you're done. Whoever's in the lead wins. That's kind of the end scenario there. You think maybe it's like the Axe or something like that. It's not. This is much longer. I could play multiple games of Blood Rage in the time I can play one of these. That being said, one thing I did like about this is the ramp up, not just in the escalation of defenses and offenses, not just in the escalation of, the attack and what you're going to have to do here. Though again, the more there, the longer it takes there too. But, just kind of the smoothness of the ramp up. So when you first start is probably the worst part of the game. When you start with this. This is what you start with. 3 guys attacking, 2 basic defense, only 1 archer slot, no resources, and just clerks. So winning this first round, I found actually harder, just because you don't have a chance to build the walls yet. That comes afterwards at the end in the winter phase. And so you're just kind of stuck building fortifications and trying to recruit as many people as possible. But to do that, you need to get the resources to be able to afford to recruit them, because you don't have a lot of the advisors to get you free stuff. You don't have the overseer upgraded to do that. And so the first round is the hardest. I'm not going to hold it against it, mainly because I like that race that it gives you, that kind of really tight, weighing your odds. Okay, do I do that or do I get that? Or maybe you can. A lot of good conversation right off the bat with this, so I'm fine with that. But the ramp up is also really good, and so when you're getting the overseers, that means you're leveling those up, and so you got your guy here, and you're getting more and more resources. So now suddenly I'm producing 3 of these, or you know what? By the time you get here, it's 2 less, so it only costs me 2 resources to recruit something. Plus, I get a spearman for free, or only 2 gold to get a mounted soldier. That's great. So the cavalry's cheaper. The ramp up goes beyond that though. So at the end of the round, you get to pick one of these for free. So this is kind of I think the post office or something like that. Anyway, you can pick any advisor for free as opposed to having to pay for it during, which you can also do. But you can also get an extra clerk. So if you're gaining clerks, you essentially get 2 of these for free from the round. So you can now have 2 more clerks. You're doing so much more. Or you can get some of the guys that allow you to gain more resources. And so the ramp up is really smooth, and I think matches kind of the ramp up over here. Okay, so another kind of complaint I have, like the tactics cards, is the artifacts. So each time, to make the game kind of different, especially when it comes to goals, you're going to draw 3 of these artifacts. Now, you're only given 5 in the core box, so while the combo can be slightly different, right? I mean, the alternations between them can be different, but the individual ones you're going to see very quickly. In fact, within 2 games, you're probably seeing all 5. Now, and they're great. It's like the stone chime here. You get 4 honor for each clerk you get, so that's going to make you maybe want to get more clerks. Or the dark armor, you get honor per person in your army, so you're going to want to make sure that they stay alive. Ideally, because at the end of the game, you're going to get points for each one. Or, this one per horde card that you get, you're going to get 3 honor. So you're going to want to make sure you do the most per, which means you might really be focused on making sure you overkill certain things or upgrading your overseers, or there's a lot of possibility here. But again, only 5. It's so weird to me that you just get 5 different tactic cards, 5 different artifact cards, and then a bajillion of these awesome advisors. I love this because of the variety and because of how it works. Imagine how much good things I could say about how much I love the artifact system if you gave me more than 5. It'll be more than the negative I'm saying about it right now. This is not enough to really spice it up, especially long term. I'm thinking not just your first play sessions, but long term. If you're going to be playing this game a lot, you're going to want more than these. If you can get them on Kickstarter, if you can get them in an expansion, definitely do so, because just core box 5 is very lackluster when you see 3 of them per game, right? I mean, it just leaves 2 that I didn't see with the first game. I'd rather see more with the half. So yeah, just needs more of that. And again, you could really spice it up too, right? I read you some of these, but what if they had one where it's you get, for each wall that you didn't build, you get points. So, if the max is what is it, 3 levels? So 3, 6, 9. For anything less than 9, you get honor points for. So you're as a team trying to like, okay, what's the minimum defense structures we need for that? Maybe that'll make you be more dependent on the fortifications. That'd be interesting. Or maybe it's resource dependent, right? Whoever has the most resources get this much, and the second resources get that much. And so people are like hoarding all the stone or something like that because, you're trying to do that. And so you're actively not donating that. So you can't use as much. And there's a lot of stuff here that you could really do. What if it was the amount of battles you participated in and you just had like a token or whatever to represent that, or some other means of doing that with, maybe a token's already here. There's a lot you could do. And again, I'm not the game designer. It's not my job to think of these things, but there's a few examples right off the bat. So it's not hard to really spice up the gameplay and have each game session here be really unique, especially if you had combos. Like what if it was like, fewer of this and hoarding all the stone, or, like you could really kind of get some interesting interactions with a little bit more effort and a little bit more than 5 options. Now, one thing you might have noticed is one of the things I really like about this is, and I kind of talked about in the Loki strategy, I kind of talked about it in Fighting, kind of talked about it in Advisors and Generals, is there is a ton of ways to earn honor points here. One of the nice things I like about something like Blood Rage is that you can do the quest, or you can do the fighting, or you can go to Valhalla, or there's various ways that you can actually gain points, and they are all fairly viable. While you don't focus on just one thing like you can maybe in Blood Rage, you can be I'm going to do good in battles. I'm going to do a ton of battles, and that's going to give me all these honor points here, especially when all of my archers are shooting 2 different times. I'm just going to do all the honor points here. Plus, I'm going to get the most, maybe not with the archers because it's just people on the board, but so I'm going to get all the honor cards here, especially because I get honor cards based off this. And so I want if we have the one where you have the most in the army plus the most battle, that's perfect for that. You can get honor points that way. You can get honor points actually from just building fortifications, which is great. Or maybe from even building the walls with your stonemason. Where you're just building that. And so if you do the stonemason plus that, you can be getting 8, 9, 10 honor from that. And actually, there's some where, you can gain more per battle, or you can gain more for even building this. There's a lot of options when it comes to gaining honor, which again is just, I like that. It's kind of everywhere. All right, so suffice it to say, this is a deeply, deeply strategic game. Now, that's not for everybody, right? You're not going to be standing up in your chair or right where you're sitting and cheering and saying, I did it. You're not doing anything crazy like that. It doesn't have dice to be swinging like that. You're not interacting in a direct fashion like that, right? You're attacking cards at the end of the day. Not, some boss or anything like that. It's not what I typically review, and it's certainly not for everyone. But if you like this sort of like thinking game, it's more of a puzzle game. And so if that sounds appealing to you, there's a lot of puzzle here when it comes to all the different interactions, the resources, the order of cards, the abilities that you have, the cards that you're fighting with, your offensive, defensive capabilities, your army size, your overseers, your advisors, your general, your position on the honor track. All of it is interacting. And so if that is something you really, really like, if you like those kind of game mechanics that aren't just tied together one-to-one, but are meshed together and kind of form this cohesive whole, this is actually really, really good with that. Again, I was always impressed with how much this side of the board interacted with this side of the board. It's not a exciting game per se, and it can last a bit longer than anybody might like. It's a pretty lengthy game, especially for what it is. And it has the issue with maybe lowering the player count. But if you have at least 4 people, or you have faith that they can get lower player counts to work, and you want a thinking strategic game, this is actually a pretty good buy. Like the components, like the mechanics that I see, love the short rule book. So anyway, that's that. All right, now I know you guys have been itching this entire time to know my rating. What is my numbered rating here. You guys live for the numbered rating. I'm sure you guys just skipped the whole video and was right. Is this an 8 out of 10? Is this an 8.8 out of 10? Did this make it almost to the 9? Is this 9.1 out of 10? Is it 9.1 out of 100? No. It is 13 Matt Damons out of one Great Wall movie. That's what I think of this game in a nutshell, whatever that means. All right, guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed kind of speaking my thoughts about it and letting you guys know more about the game. Hopefully that helps you make a good decision for you and your gaming group. Cause that's what we're all about here anyway, right? That and really, really good minis. Speaking of being here, thanks so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I have a ton of really cool stuff coming up. December is going to be crazy. I do a lot of end of year stuff. My biggest video of the year is going to be later in December. It's going to be my upcoming 2020 Kickstarters. It's a big long list. There's some stuff you don't know about. I have some exclusive stuff here. You're going to like it. It's going to be good. Trust me. We're talking gorgeous miniatures. We're talking exciting campaigns. It's going to be awesome. Plus, I do a lot of other stuff, like which ones I'm actually most looking forward to, what my previous ones were, like what did I like this year, kind of some top 10 lists, and just some fun videos. It's going to be great. So I hope you can stick around. Again, if you're not subscribed, be sure to do that, just so you see that kind of stuff. If you find that sort of stuff useful, entertaining, or whatever reason that you watch these. I still have a Dawn of Madness review to do, so that will be coming up very, very soon. Like, as soon as I can get it done, it's going to be here. So be on the lookout for that. And otherwise, link in the description below to the Kickstarter to the Great Wall, if I knew how to speak. So go down there, click that, check it out, see if they've added some more tactic cards, see if they've added some more artifact cards, see if it's right for you, especially price point, delivery, stuff like that. They're doing some different delivery stuff there. And that's it. That's it, guys. All right. Again, super shout out to my patrons. Super shout out to you. You're awesome. Have a great day.